Every developer has the same problem. You have a massive idea, you open VS Code, and you stare at a blank directory. Do I put the backend here? Where do the UI components go? Well, I got tired of guessing, so I decided to build myself an automated CTL. So I created JellyRepo. I am literally using the prototype of my tool to build the production architecture for the tool itself. I'm choosing this pod tier, this flexible powerhouse, because I built it for elite solo founders. I choose balanced, and as you can see, I get a full in-depth blueprint of the entire scaffold of my project. I don't need to guess about where to put anything. I don't need to wonder about how I'm going to lay things out in the future, because this tool already does it for me. I'm going to name my repository after the tool itself. I'm going to select a fresh repository. I'm selecting the Python shield because that's going to help me lock down my core engine and prevent any compiled junk from hitting my repository. I'm going to add a README MD, which is just going to say that I'm the one that generated this awesome architecture. And if you were using it, it would say that you generated it. So that if anybody comes and browses your README, you look like the hero that thought a gazillion steps ahead. You didn't just create a bunch of bloat, you created a well thought out scaffold for your project. So we're in my Linux folder, my home, as you can see, manifest here, and just like that, all of it was created. We're going to initialize the local vault. So instead of having to type get init, get branch, etc., we don't have to do any of that. Just one click does it all for us, all initialized. Now, if I want to publish to GitHub, I can. But I'm completely offline at this point. I don't need to go online. I don't need to connect to the cloud. I can work in this repository on my desktop without publishing to GitHub. But if I wanted to publish to Git, then I just click publish and it gives me the directions. Click open the source control, hit the blue publish branch button, and select private or public. So we're going to open our source control. And as we can see, we're in the main directory. That's obviously where we want to be. We want to publish our branch, JellyWorks Offline, JellyRepo. We want to select a private repository. Right now I'm not working with a team, so there's really no remote data to fetch, and I don't really want this auto fetch constantly popping up and asking for my password, so we're just going to say ask me later. Look at this depth. The client UI is separated from the server logic and all those infrastructure layers. And the best part is it took 60 seconds and I generated this entire infrastructure. And there it is, JellyRepo, push straight to GitHub, drop myself right off at the bus stop. So we got our newly acquired JellyRepo architecture here. We are going to add our JellyRepo test to our workspace. So we're going to open our SRC, client, features, dashboard. So now that the architecture is secured in Git, I can migrate my messy prototype folders or files that I just created, and I can put them into their sovereign nodes up here. And this is how you organize code so that it scales without turning into spaghetti. So I'm going to bring my index.html up into I'm going to open the SRC folder, open the client, and right here in my features and dashboard section, I'm going to add my index.html because my main interface isn't just HTML, it's the entire dashboard feature of the client UI. So it goes here completely walled off from the back end. We've got the kit, the components, because my logic and my styling are both components. So we got our server and our API routes. The VS Code extension file is essentially an API route. It listens for clicks and it routes all of those clicks to my engine. So therefore it belongs in the server routes. We're going to open up domain. We're going to see our core logic, and that's where we want to put our main.py, which is my Python engine, and we want to put our shield vault in there. So this goes deep into the domain logic layer. If my UI completely breaks, then my core engine is perfectly safe in its own vault back here. So next we have our themes.json. These are our JSON blueprints. And because they are the fuel for the Python engine, we need to put them in the core logic alongside my main.py. And my vault compression is a core utility, so it also goes in the core logic section. And here's the critical move. My jellyvault.db, my SQLite database, most people leave this in the root folder where it actually gets pushed to GitHub, and I'm going to move it into the infrastructure layer, into the local DB. And this way it's now physically isolated, and it's also mathematically shielded by our git ignore. And finally, our compiler configurations, package.json and tsconfig.json, they dictate the rules of the environment. And so they're going to live at the root, and everything else is junk, and we're just going to leave it behind. Bring it all the way up here, right onto JellyRepo. We open the global search, and we're going to type JellyRepo test because that was what I was building under. So the files are in their permanent nodes, but the code still thinks it's a prototype. So we're going to strip out the old identity, and we're officially going to level this up to production level architecture. So I run a global search and look for the old prototype identity, which is JellyRepo test. And then I want to replace with JellyRepo, but I don't just hit replace all. What I do is I'm going to surgically update my TypeScript bridge and also my Python core engine. And then I just leave the old compile junk behind. With the new architecture, the prototype is officially obsolete. So now it's time to, now we're just going to remove this folder from our workspace. So we only have JellyRepo. Prototype is officially obsolete now that I moved all my files into their perfect place, and we are now running exclusively on JellyRepo. We open up extension.ts, but because we moved our UI into an isolated sovereign node, Bridge is currently blind. HTML, we'll save that. Finally, the database. We buried our local SQLite vault deep inside the infrastructure layer so that it never accidentally gets pushed to GitHub. But the Python engine needs to know how to reach it. I'm updating the initialization logic. We use pathlib to anchor the engine in the core logic node. Then we perform cross-layer navigation to the infrastructure layer. It maps its own infrastructure, which makes our tool completely OS agnostic. Git add, and we're going to git push. Foundation is laid, the logic is compiled. I'm committing this entire architecture to the cloud. Version 1 is locked, loaded, and... All right, so now I need to take it for one final test drive now that I've taken all of my files and placed them where they need to go within my scaffold. So we'll just choose front end here for the pod level. If we were building a website, this might be a good option here. We'll just quickly fly through this. JellyWeb test. We'll create a fresh repo to make it easy. Python, and we'll manifest it now. Manifest it here. Initialize our vault. Publish to GitHub. We see our directions. We open our source control. And just like that, I could commit all of this to GitHub. But because I was in my JellyRepo, it's populating like this instead of a true fresh repository. And that's just because I already had the file open in my extension, but we are all set. I'm not going to be doing any of this. So you check out the README, JellyWeb test architected by me. It would be your name here. If you were building with this, organized for now, prepared for later, guided into the future. So it shows that you're thinking ahead by creating this level of infrastructure. So anybody going to your repository is going to see that you're well thought out, that you're way ahead of the game, and that you have a plan for each step of what you're building. As you can see, JellyWeb test has manifested all of its architecture perfectly. An assets column, docs, infrastructure, legal. We got our SRC, we got our tests, and we got our tooling. We're going to get rid of that. CD out of here. And so that's basically it. We have the capability of manifesting enterprise level architecture for any scale of build. So we're not getting less when we go into something small made for a micro app. We still have the functionality we need. We've just scaled it down to fit the size of the project. We didn't rip out the good stuff and get rid of legal and get rid of our assets and get rid of our SRC. We're still thinking about building something high level. We're still creating a roadmap that fits the scale of the project, that organizes things correctly, and that allows you to be efficient and effective based on the scale that you need. So the engine is locked. Version 1 of Python core and the TypeScript bridge are pushed to GitHub. But of course, having a working tool is not enough. You need an enterprise-grade storefront, a blog, secure billing system, and over the next 48 hours, I'm going to integrate Lemon Squeezy. I'm going to build a full Next.js Edge mono repo in order to launch this to the public. And in order to build it, I'm going to use my own tool, obviously. So drop a follow, drop a comment. This way you can see the final storefront, and you can also get access to version 1 of JellyRepo when it goes live. And I will see you in the next video.